and the rehearsal started for the
And also there was a dialogue, Samyar in a
மறைய வைக்கிறேன்னு சொல்லி குறைய வச்சுட்டாரு.
குறைந்த விலை நிறைந்த தரம் தங்கள் தேவைகள் அனைத்தும் ஒரே இடத்தில் ஜெயச்சந்திரன்.
And when I was going down the rope at the end, the snake for the mukuti, when I'm on
Yes.
the rope, I'm really on a rope there.
and also it was a huge mukuti, right?
Yeah.
Huge.
I didn't know what a mukuti was when I got there. They had to explain to me what the movie was about. Certain speed with the way that they tracked the camera, and then they took me from that with it spinning and were able to put me in Jyotika's palm when she turned to me.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's how I'm turning and moving and sitting. They were very creative and it was very cool.
ஓ பார்த்து வாணி பார்த்து தலை சுத்துது வாணி.
She was
True.
one of the kindest actresses I've worked with, and I'd love to come back and I'd love to see Jyotika. I haven't seen her since we filmed.
Back then, did you happen to see Jyotika's husband? I mean, Surya and Jyotika were in love for quite a long time.
I didn't even know she was married until she spent most of her time. There was another actor I'm supposed to marry through the arranged marriage. Her kindness, acceptance, and making me feel at home in India. Those things were really built. There was a real chair that big and a real table that big. Everything you're seeing there that I'm sitting in front of was really built. And it's kind of funny.
Thank you வாணி.
My pleasure.
Yum 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 yum.
When I was in India, they realized I'd never seen an Indian film. But we went to the theater and we saw, I think it was Kushi with Jyotika.
Oh.
Hi, this is Deepika from Rednool. Today we have with us the little John. Hi, Bentley sir. How are you?
I am doing well, and it's my pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Little John is one of our favorite fantasy films, and till date, people are watching it. How do you? I mean, this is overwhelming of love from India. How does it feel?
It is so cool. As you know, I did this film close to 20, almost 25 years ago,
Yes.
and I haven't been back to India. And when I did it, we really didn't have social media, and so I didn't know how the film was received over there, or if people liked it or hated it. I just kind of let it go into my past. And then social media started happening and I started becoming more active on it. And fans from India have reached out and just told me how much this movie meant to them and their childhood and how their mom would make them little dosas and all these things, and the songs are played at birthdays. And it's so absolutely touching to me because I'd never been to India. I didn't know I was going to be doing 3 different movies. I didn't know I was going to be speaking in English in one movie, Tamil in another, and Hindi in another. And more than that, I didn't know that Indian movies had song and dance routines. And, and it wasn't in the script. And so I didn't know I was going to be doing this. And when I got there, I was informed that I was going to be doing these 5 dance numbers, and I started in rehearsals and everything. It was really an amazing experience. So I'm really touched to find out that something that meant so much to me at the time that I poured my heart into, because I really liked the movie and I really wanted to do a good job. So it's really touching to find out that after all these years, how much it affected everyone. And I don't know if I ever would have known had it not been for social media. I wouldn't be talking to you right now. For sure.
Back then, we didn't know your name. We always thought it was Little John, your name. And we were also thinking like, why he didn't come back to India, or why he didn't do any other films in India. And he just one film and he's got no haters only.
Full of love only.
I understand.
Yes.
It's funny you mentioned that everyone thought my name was Little John. I still get comments and direct messages of people referring to me as John. Mr. John, how are you? And Sir John, how are you? So it's fun. My want to come back to India and my want to do more movies in India has nothing to do with it. It's like I can want all day long, but I can't make it happen. And I've wished and hoped that a production company in India would get the idea to do a Little John 2 and maybe reunite Jyotika and me, and we could do a movie together over there and do Little John
Wow.
2. I think that would be a smart thing to do. I think it'd be a lot of fun. I think we have a lot of fans from the 90s kids and early 2000s that would probably like to see that. And I'd love to come back and I'd love to see Jyotika. I haven't seen her since we filmed. Um,
Oh. But
yeah,
have you been trying to reach her?
I don't even know who to reach out to. It's been
Acho.
so many years that I just,
Mm-mm.
like I said, this was early 2000s, and we didn't really have the social media like we do.
Social.
I don't know how the audience in India sees me, if they would accept me in another Indian
They
role.
would. They would definitely. They would accept you, no matter what.
I mean, maybe I'd have to be Little John, though. I don't know. If the offer came in, if there
Mhm.
was a company in India that wanted to do a film and they
Mhm.
contacted me, I'm very open and willing to it. I loved the experience, and there's nothing that would turn me away from doing it. So it's not on my end.
Hopefully, post this interview, I think they'll approach you. Fingers crossed.
That would be awesome. Let's start
Yes.
hashtag Little John 2.
Yes, yes, we'll start the hashtag Little John too. Back then, you didn't watch any Indian film, but till date, have you watched any films as such?
Well, when I was in India, and
Mm-hmm.
that what I was just talking about happened, they realized I'd never seen an Indian film, and they asked me if I'd like to go see one, and I
Okay.
said I would. And so that night, someone on the production team, I can't remember who took me, but we went to
Mm-hmm.
the theater and we saw, I think it was Kushi with Jyotika in it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it was actually in the theaters while we were filming Little John. And
Okay.
so I went and watched it at the movie theaters and I didn't understand it, but I saw the concept of what was happening. And I
Mm-hmm.
really liked the music from that movie. It was cool. So I'm glad I did. But
Yes.
that's the only movie I've seen. I've seen Little John, but
Okay.
Kushi's the only other Indian movie I've seen.
So, Jyotika, back then, working with Jyotika and the whole crew.
Are you wondering what it was like to work with Jyotika?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
How am I saying her name wrong by calling her Jyotika? Is it
No,
Jyotika?
Jyotika. Yeah, it is nice. Jyotika.
She never corrected me. And that's actually kind of a testament to what it was like to work with her. She was
True.
one of the kindest actresses I've worked with. Um, she was very soft spoken. She had a very I'm speaking of her in the past, even though she's still alive, by saying had because it was my memory of 24 years ago. But she had a very good sense of humor. I remember that she enjoyed that there was another actor in the movie, the guy who she was supposed to marry through the arranged marriage,
Mm-mm.
a guy named Ash. And Ash and I hit it off and became good friends. And he also did a lot of impressions. And so Jotika enjoyed watching Ash and I do a bunch of impressions and would laugh a lot at that. She spent most of her time with her mom. When she wasn't actually filming, she would either be sitting with her mom or in her dressing room with her mom.
Okay.
She treated everybody kindly. She was very soft spoken and a very giving actress. I have to give her a lot of credit because she was the female lead in a movie where you guys were basically hosting somebody from another country that didn't speak the language. And as an actress, to make me feel as comfortable as I did with her, to be able to give the performance I did is a lot. It's a lot of it is a testament to her
Mhm.
and her kindness and acceptance and making me feel at home in India. So I only
Wow.
have good things to say about Yotika.
Back then, did you happen to see Jyotika's husband? I mean, Surya and Jyotika were in love for quite a long time. Do you happen to see him in the sets of Little John?
I haven't seen him. I didn't even know she was married until a fan asked me if I had seen him and knew it. And I think I might have seen it on Instagram or
Okay.
something, but I don't know. I didn't know. I haven't talked to
Okay.
her since we made that movie, and it's a shame. Again, back then we didn't have the technology to
Social
communicate like
media,
we do
yes.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back then, I think, like, as you said, it was 25 years back, and it was the best of one fantasy film we have ever watched. Because nothing like extravaganza, but something which is with subtle VFX, and we really enjoyed it. So, shooting the VFX parts, because you were, I think, hardly 7 inches or 8 inches, I guess. And also there was a dialogue, சாமியார் என்ன மறைக்க சொன்னாங்கன்னா என்ன குறைக்க வச்சுட்டாங்க அப்படின்ட்டு. That dialogue actually people loved it a lot. And yeah, speaking of VFX.
So the effects, yeah. Uh, Obviously, in the movie, I get shrunk down.
Yes.
What I really like about this movie is I'm kind of an old school guy, and I like when movies use kind of what they'd call practical effects or in camera effects, and they're not relying on complete computer generated images. An example of that would be I really like the original Jurassic Park movie because the dinosaurs were all made with big animatronics and puppets. So that would be an in camera effect. A film like this, it would be very tempting to want to bring in a lot of computer effects to fill in stuff, to generate images, etc. And I know we were on the edge of a lot of that technology back at the time when we made this film. But what they decided to do was do it all with green screen. And it was really cool because they had a very huge like warehouse that they I don't know if it was a studio that they owned or they just converted it for this film, but they turned it into a big screen studio. And for those of you who don't know, um, if I had a complete green screen behind me, then you can change the background as long as I'm not wearing green, because then the background that would change on me as well. And so when they do effects like making me smaller, they can put me in a room that's completely green and then make everything around me really big on the green screen, and it looks like I'm this tall. But when I'm interacting with it, which I really liked also, they had to build the stuff. So they built these giant cubes that I would climb up onto for when I'm climbing up
The
the stairs in
stairs.
the house.
Okay.
So I'm actually climbing on stuff there. And when I was going down the rope at the end with the snake for the mukuti, when I'm on the
Yes.
rope, I'm really on a rope there, but there's green screen around me. So it was like a mixture of practical stuff and green
And
screen.
also it was a huge mukuti, right?
Yeah.
Huge prop. Yeah.
There was a
You
very
have it
big
on your
mukuti
shoulder.
like
Yeah.
about this, and I didn't even know what it was. I didn't know what a mukuti was when I got there. They
Huh.
had to explain to me what the movie was about. But yeah, that's how we did the effects, and
Okay.
I appreciated doing it. I had a blast. It was a lot of fun. I'd done some maybe slight green screen stuff, but nothing to that extent. And they actually did some really innovative stuff too, where they built like these platforms that were on a rotating disc, kind of like a lazy Susan in the center of a table that you put food on. But that was all green screened as well. And then they would have me sit on it, and they'd move it at a certain speed with the way that they tracked the camera. And then they took me from that with it spinning and were able to put me in Jotika's palm when she turns and moves.
Oh yeah.
And that's how I'm turning and moving and sitting.
Yeah.
So it's
Got it
very
now.
cool. They were very creative, and it was very cool.
Yeah, I should also speak about those huge chairs and the table for the dosa serving.
You had, because like
That
we
actually
did
made me
have.
feel small.
That table and chair was like, I was like, wow, really wow. And also the dosa, the effort she puts in.
Those things were really built. There was a real chair that big and a real table that big, and
Wow.
everything you're seeing there that I'm sitting in front of was really built. And it's kind of funny when to see it in a movie is one thing, but when you're there and you're seeing the size of it and you're actually climbing up onto the chair and stuff, it's kind of funny. It's interesting
True.
to see yourself as that tiny in this world of a big chair.
And it feels surreal too at times.
Speaking of.
I love that that moms made their kids little dosa after that.
Yes.
Of course, since it was a difficult one to learn the language as such and singing for that, how many takes would you take for a dialogue or any song? How many takes you took?
I'm not really remembering, but I don't think it seemed like it was any more than a normal film. like an American film that I've been in.
Okay.
You know, if it wasn't what they were getting, it might take a couple more takes. But if I did it well on the first one or two, they'd go with that. Still, but then also I pride myself on being professional. So when I would show up to the set, I was prepared and I was ready to go. And I had finished the day before and went home, and I wasn't playing around or going out and partying or anything. I would go home and I would sit there and I would learn for hours the dialogue for the next day.
You didn't misspell any word, any Tamil word on the sets of Little John?
Well, I think what they ended up doing was using my mouth, because I was saying the Tamil words, but I think they had someone come in who spoke Tamil and just match my mouth so it was spoken better than I actually spoke it. I think that's how they did that. When we were recording the music, there was we were recording one of the songs, and there's many letters in the Tamil language, I was told, and that, to me, that means that there's very slight variations in sounds, and that could make the word mean something completely different.
True.
And there was a word in one of the songs that is a very bad word that sounds very similar to the word I was supposed to be saying. And I kept singing the bad word, and the producers kept coming out laughing. And I couldn't understand what the problem was. And they were telling me the word I should say and the word that I was saying that was bad. And I still couldn't hear the difference of the two words. But I pretended I did. And I'm like, okay, all right, I hear it. I'll do it this time. And I thought maybe I could fool them because it was so close to my ears, and maybe I could just fool them. And so they'd run the tape, and I'd sing, and I'd come to that tape would stop. They'd come back laughing. They're, no, you said it. So they finally told me what the word was and what it meant. And I realized why it was funny and why I had to definitely get the word right, because it was a very bad word that I was saying.
Very bad. Okay.
That's how the American ear can be fooled with a language with so many subtleties. Because I could be thinking I'm saying something very kind and actually insulting someone if I tried to speak Tamil.
Engaging the family audience is one of the best thing in Indian cinema till date, and you did just one film and got into everybody's hearts.
To be very honest.
I'm so touched by that. I'm so touched by that. And I wish that they had done a Little John 2, and I could have come back when I was younger and played the younger version of me. You know, maybe they'll do another one and I can come back and people can see how Jyotika and I ended up in that world.
குறைந்த விலை நிறைந்த தரம் தங்கள் தேவைகள் அனைத்தும் ஒரே இடத்தில் ஜெயச்சந்திரன்